Kong resorts to same old EVM conspiracy claim. Links pager blasts to EVM hacking.
इसराइल 600 किलोमीटर दूर से घर बैठे बैठे पेजर और वॉकी टॉकी के जरिए लोगों को मार सकता है, तो ईवीएम की तो कोई औकात ही नहीं है।
EC demolishes EVM doubters.
वोटिंग से करीब 5 या 6 दिन पहले कमीशनिंग होती है। उस दिन मशीन में सिंबल पड़ते हैं, नई बैटरी उस दिन एक डाली जाती है और सील करके उस बैटरी पे भी कैंडिडेट के एजेंट के दस्तखत होते हैं।
BJP mocks Congress panic mode.
Where they are losing elections or where they foresee that the election will be lost, they are creating an alibi or an excuse even before the elections have started.
The EVM Mahabharat. Top focus on 6 p.m. prime.
Today you had the Election Commission announcing the dates for the upcoming Maharashtra and Jharkhand elections, as well as, of course, a slew of bypolls across the country. But they also clarified and made, in fact, a big headline-grabbing comment on one issue, which has been a raging political controversy for the last many days, over electronic voting machines. A controversy that we're far too familiar with, because for the last many years, it's the same issue, the same conspiracy theories that have been floated. This time around, Congress leader Rashid Alvi, when he was asked about the fact that, the Election Commission is going to come out and release these dates, said that this time it should be on postal ballots. The opposition must push for a postal ballot election in Maharashtra and Jharkhand, because he says that what's happened with regards to the pager blast orchestrated, according to him, by Israel, he says that if that's possible and if pagers can be hacked in that manner and can trigger an explosion, then so can EVMs. Rashid Alvi doesn't stop there. He actually says that Prime Minister Modi is close friends with Israel, and so he will go ahead and get information of how to hack these kind of electronic machines from Israel. So you've got another Congress leader, senior one at that, expressing concerns over EVMs once again. Now, the BJP is lashed out at, in fact, the Congress, saying that this is them clearly resorting to all sorts of desperate means. But look, it's not just Rashid Alvi. In the last few days, you've had Congress leaders questioning the results in Haryana. They've even taken the fight to the Election Commission, saying that there are several seats where they have doubts over how the batteries indicated a certain percentage. We will explain all of that to you, of what the Congress has claimed and how EVM batteries actually work. Is there any foul play? We'll talk about that in just a bit, but let's begin with all the reactions that have come in on this big story.
अगर इसराइल 600 किलोमीटर दूर से घर बैठे बैठे पेजर और वॉकी टॉकी के जरिए लोगों को मार सकता है, तो ईवीएम की तो कोई औकात ही नहीं है। और प्रधानमंत्री के बहुत अच्छे रिश्ते हैं इसराइल के साथ। इसराइल इन मामलात के अंदर एक्सपर्ट है, इसलिए ईवीएम का बड़ा खेल कहीं भी हो सकता है, और उसके लिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी चुनाव से पहले ये सारे काम कर लेती है।
सवाल का जवाब पब्लिक देती है जी सर। वोटिंग में परसेंटेज और वोटिंग में पार्टिसिपेट करके पब्लिक जवाब देती है सवाल का। जहां तक ईवीएम्स और इन सब का प्रश्न है, वो 100% फुल प्रूफ है, मैं कई बार बता चुका हूँ।
अगस्त से लेकर तो जो कोई अभी इस बारे में क्या बोले कि फोन टैपिंग, ये सब आया है। सत्ता बदलेगी तब हम बताएंगे, आज इस बारे में ज्यादा बात करने की नहीं। पर ईवीएम हैक हो सकता है, बहुत सारे लोगों का कहना है। अब ईवीएम पे चुनाव न हो, ये भी एक तबका, बड़ा तबका इस बारे में बात करता है और विरोध भी करता है।
Congress's Rashid Alvi and other leaders are saying if pagers can be hacked, then EVMs can also be hacked. They made the same bizarre claim in Haryana too. This means writing is on the wall. They have accepted defeat even before the polls have started. While BJP has done Vikas, BJP has done work for the Virasat of Maharashtra. Congress has only done vote jihad in Maharashtra. In Jharkhand, they have only done Bhrishtachar. They win an election in Telangana and Karnataka, EVM is fine. But in Haryana or elsewhere where they are losing elections or where they foresee that the election will be lost, they are creating an alibi or an excuse even before the elections have started.
ईवीएम कोई हैक नहीं होती, आपका दिमाग हैक हो चुका है। और क्योंकि आप हार की हताशा में दिमाग हैक हो जाता है, मानसिक संतुलन हैक हो जाता है, तो इसी तरह की बातें सुनाई पड़ती हैं।
Okay, let's bring in our consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai for his view on this entire political fight that we're witnessing over electronic voting machines. Rajdeep, good evening. What do you make really of this entire controversy, Rajdeep, over EVMs? Like I said in the beginning of this broadcast, we're not really new to this entire issue. But do you think the strategy actually works for the Congress on ground in election season to question electronic voting machines?
You know, Akshita, with due regard, I am surprised that you're taking a comment of Rashid Alvi so seriously. It's a bizarre comment made by a leader who simply wants to grab some headlines. Frankly, for him to equate pagers and EVMs means he doesn't understand the basics of EVMs, which are standalone machines not connected to any wireless network. So I think Mr. Rashid Alvi needs an education when he makes those comments. And I don't think they even deserve, frankly, a response. This is just an attempt to try and grab headlines in one way or the other. My larger point, and I was surprised that this question was not asked in the Election Commission press conference, is what ADR, Association of Democratic Reforms, an organization which includes some leading professors from IIM, have raised. There is a discrepancy in votes counted and votes polled in 538 of the 543 Lok Sabha constituencies. Now, this discrepancy may not, and in fact, in most cases, will not affect the eventual result. But I think the people and the voters need to know why is it that in 538 or 543 constituencies were votes polled and votes counted differently. Now, these are the serious questions which deserve an answer. To question whether EVMs can become like pagers in Lebanon is a stupid, bizarre comment made by Rashid Alvi and should be treated with utter contempt. Sadly, because these comments are made, the really serious issues, whether it's of a VVPAT, verified voter paper trail, or indeed, as I said, the discrepancy between votes polled and votes counted, deserve a serious attention. And therefore, the wrong issues tend to be highlighted. Whether EVM should be used, whether we should go back to ballot paper is a larger issue. Several countries in the world have gone back to ballot papers. But I think it requires a much more studied, well-researched argument rather than these throwaway comments that like pagers, EVMs can be hacked. I think that's a ridiculous comment which should be treated with contempt.
Okay, let's keep aside what Rashid Alvi has said for a moment, Rajdeep, and talk about what other senior Congress leaders have also alleged over what's happened in Haryana, where they're questioning the EVM batteries as well. So there is a clear strategy here of the Congress leadership, not just, politicians like Rashid Alvi, to question the functioning of these EVMs.
Well, I think that was certainly there in Haryana. Again, the EC said very clearly, and he gave a good response to that we will respond to each of the claims that the Congress has made about 20 constituencies where they believe there was a battery problem. Again, the experts I have spoken to, including IIT professors, don't see any problem here. They believe that there is enough reason for the EC to believe that the machines itself, which are kept in a strong room, can't just be hacked or infiltrated in the manner that is being suggested. There, I think the Congress is playing the role of a sore loser, unable to come to terms with what happened in Haryana. But I think the larger issue remains simply this, that there is a trust deficit. You see, the problem is not EVMs. The problem is the overall functioning of the Election Commission and whether the Election Commission truly has a level playing field. And because there is a sense that the Election Commission does not allow a level playing field, does not act when it should, therefore that lack of a trust deficit also translates to the functioning of EVMs or questions over EVMs. I think the ECI needs to address the more serious questions about its ability to ensure level playing field. Let me give you one example. Maharashtra had a 4-phase election in the Lok Sabha. Tamil Nadu, virtually same number of seats in a single phase. 5 months later, in a Vidhan Sabha, you have a single phase Maharashtra election. What stopped the ECI from having a single phase election in Maharashtra in the Lok Sabha? Now, these are genuine questions that should be asked. And when these questions are asked, the ECI should have a damn good response, which they didn't have today when that question was asked. So I think the ECI...
So are you saying, Rajdeep, the announcement today of a single-phase election in Maharashtra, are you saying that's suspect as well?
No, I am saying calendars cannot be decided according to, what a particular party may want. Or that's how the opposition perceives it. The opposition has every right to raise that question. Those are fundamental questions that need to be raised. The questions that they end up raising, like the one you raised of Rashid Alvi, are stupid questions, are stupid comments. and they detract from the seriousness of certain issues. The seriousness of the issue I pointed out is, as these IIM professors have pointed out after research, why is there a mismatch between votes polled and votes counted in 538 constituencies out of 543? Similar situation was there in 2019. Why can the ECI not address it? Unless you address these issues, the trust deficit remains. And because the trust deficit mounts, then stupid comments are made when one side loses. I believe the time has come.
Do you believe that there is a trust deficit on ground, Rajdeep, or is this a political trust deficit?
Look, I think that it is primarily a political trust deficit. That's why so many millions of Indians come to vote. However, the politicians are the real stakeholders. The candidates are the stakeholders, which is why I believe, Akshita, the ECI should have, before every major election, a meeting of all parties. Explain to them exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, so that none of these questions rise. And they must have the willingness to also do a post-mortem. You see, it cannot be that the ECI is above questioning or above scrutiny. Or every time I ask the ECI a question, I'm committing some kind of a wrong. Simple question is being asked. 538 out of 543 constituencies mismatch between votes polled and votes counted. This is a purely objective question. There is no speculation, there is no insinuation, but it needs to be answered. So I think if the ECI and the political parties could meet more often, could actually resolve these issues, we wouldn't have a problem. But because these issues are not addressed, and they extend then to the misuse of money power, they extend to the manner in which during elections appeals are made on the grounds of religion and caste, all of which are against the Representation of People Act. Will you play fair on those issues? These are the questions that the ECI needs to address, but which they don't choose to, and therefore the opposition believes there's no level playing field. It's a sad situation when someone like Rashid Alvi makes these comments, and that others then tend to use those comments to create this ECI versus opposition divide. I think the real questions are getting unanswered.
Okay, fair question that you've raised, Rajdeep, but unfortunately the opposition chooses to ask other questions of the ECI, which they then tend to answer. Thanks very much, Rajdeep, for joining us with your perspective on this entire raging controversy over how the Election Commission functions and also over electronic voting machines, because the politics continues. Aishwarya Paliwal, who tracks the Election Commission, is with us. Aishwarya, I'm just going to come across to you in a second, but in the meanwhile, let's talk about really how the opposition so far has poked holes in how the EVM functions. So it's happened for the last many, many years. Here's how. Here are the comments that have been made previously. You had Rahul Gandhi several times also in the last few years question electronic voting machines, saying any machine that has a chip can easily be hacked, and therefore you can go ahead and trigger whatever result you want. The Indian democracy is controlled by professional hackers, is again something that Rahul Gandhi had said. Now, there are several senior Congress leaders who followed suit with comments. Digvijay Singh said that BJP got 300 seats in Lok Sabha due to EVM manipulation. He said this some time back. And then you had Bhupesh Baghel, who also came out to say that EVMs and VVPAT units are being changed after polling. Now, Digvijay Singh, who's had a tirade against EVMs previously, has questioned, saying who wins polls is essentially decided by software, not by the people of this country. Arvind Kejriwal of the Aam Aadmi Party has also questioned the functioning of EVMs, saying EVMs can be tampered within 90 seconds flat. So constantly, the impression that the opposition has sent across is that EVMs are unreliable, that electronic voting machines must be done away with. And the Congress has said this, the Aam Aadmi Party has said this, several other opposition political parties have echoed the sentiment too. Aishwarya Paliwal is joining us with more details on this. She tracks the Election Commission. Aishwarya, today you had the EC in detail explain, in fact, why the EVM batteries are reliable, and there's no question of any sort of foul play as the opposition alleges. The problem here, and there's something that Rajdeep also spoke about a political trust deficit, and how exactly is the Election Commission going to combat this?
Well, Akshita, let me tell you two things. First of all, the Election Commission's doors are always open whenever any party, be it the ruling party or the opposition parties, whenever they have some complaints, the Election Commission listens to them and also makes sure that it receives all the complaints. Now, the Election Commission has 2 points to make. First point, they say, is that from the starting point, from the time the EVM machines actually come out, from that point till the time the counting gets over, at every step, videography is done, videos are taken, and nothing moves. Actually, no EVM can actually move without the signature of either the candidate or someone from the party. So that's something that they make sure it happens every time. And now let me tell you, everything is now being videographed, and the videograph is being streamed directly at the Election Commission. So they are saying if you have any proof, then you need to bring proof. Do not say they can be hacked. If you want and to prove that they can be hacked, then why don't you show us how they can be hacked? Time and again, Akshata, Election Commission, has been saying that if the opposition party or anyone else, if they have any proof, then they should bring proof to us. Otherwise, you need to stop making all these allegations, because this is only weakening the voters' trust in the entire democratic process. Akshata.
All right, Aishwarya, thank you very much for joining us with those details. There was this huge controversy, of course, today over what Rashid Alvi said, saying that if pager blasts can happen, EVMs can be rigged. But the larger issue here is that in the last few days, since the Haryana election results, the Congress has been levelling a charge of EVM batteries not operating properly. So let me just explain to you that entire controversy. Let's first begin with what the Congress alleged here. They said that several EVMs in Haryana showed a battery percentage in the display unit of 99%. And according to them, EVMs were used through the day for polling and then for counting also, but the battery remained at 99%. They're questioning how is that possible. According to them, there were some seats in Haryana where the EVMs showed 60 to 70%. It had come down from 99%. And in these seats where it went to 60, 70%, they say that there the EVMs were functioning, which is why there the Congress won. Where EVMs are at 99%, they're saying that there were clearly some problems with the EVM. So let's tell you how an electronic voting machine's battery actually works. Is there any credence to what the Congress says? Remember, first of all, EVM batteries are manufactured by Bharat Electronics Limited and the ECIL. The EVM batteries, which is in the control unit, they're at 7.5 volt batteries. And of course, they're alkaline batteries. They last for about 2 days, essentially. Now, because they're alkaline batteries, they don't need to be constantly charged. The charge is expected to last for 2 days. Now, the power packs display the battery levels with a percentage. So the battery level is shown as high, medium, low, and there's a percentage also written with it. The power remains at 99% when the battery's potential is between 7.4 to 8 volts. When it's at that, it remains at 99%. And then subsequently, as it goes below 7.4 volts, then you've got alerts coming in that the power is coming down. The percentage keeps going down. Of course, from 99, it goes to 90, 70, and whatnot, based on really how much power is left. Now, when the battery reaches 5.8 volts, that's when the display indicates that the battery needs to be changed. This is when it reaches about 30%. Immediately, there's an alert to change the battery. There's a detailed process to actually go ahead and do that. It can't be done easily at all. So there is clearly that particular point that must be noted here, that the Election Commission has said very, very clearly that there's a process that's maintained. Batteries must be changed to the presence of several officials involved, and we ensure that it can last for 2 days, keeping in mind polling as well as the counting day. So this is the response that's coming from the Election Commission, and of course we've explained to you also how exactly EVM batteries work. So at this point, we'll have to see how the Congress chooses to respond.